Were the plays we saw unbelievably good or unbelievably bad? I have been seeing a lot of plays at 59 East 59th Street lately, and the latest I saw was Marin Gazaniga's The Unbelieving from the Civilians. It's a fascinating true study on clergy of different religions who have lost their belief in God. Linda, played by Nina Hellman, who is just this wonderful actress, is talking very confidentially to heads of religions who have lost their belief and thus their identity. Who are they once their faith is gone? What will this do to their congregation and family? And she uses pseudonyms to protect them. Now, the first person she interviews is Adam, played by David Aaron Baker, who I haven't seen on stage in ages, and he is like one of my all-time favorite actors. And it's just incredible. It's based on this book, Caught in the Pulpit, Leaving Belief Behind by Daniel C. Dennett and Linda Lascola. And it just gives you such an interesting interpretation of religion and why you lose your faith and how you fake it and what it does to everyone. So I just found this wonderful, and you really should go see it. And I'm giving this a happy face.
For Chester Bailey, in Joseph Doherty's play, it's 1945, and Chester Bailey is in a Long Island mental hospital because his brain will not accept that he has lost his hands and is blind as a result of an attack by a coworker on the job at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. He's a young man who would have been able to sign up for the war, but his mom was afraid that it wouldn't be safe, so she got the father, who already works at the Naval Yard, to get the son the job there. Dr. Cotton is the doctor who's responsible, in charge of this patient, and is trying to get him, or he believes it's his job to get him, to believe that he is blind and that he has lost his hands. But Chester is just so adept at creating the illusion for himself and for others while they're listening to him that he can actually see. He describes a print of a Van Gogh painting on the wall. He claims that he can pick up a glass. So it's really very interesting about this idea about which is more important and therapeutic, adjusting to reality or being able to create your own reality. There's often two separate monologues, but the themes and motifs are shared by the patient and the doctor. They both are obsessed with new love interests, and they both have some relation to Penn Station. I thought this was an exceptionally well-written, well-directed, well-acted play. One of the best things I've seen at Irish Rep, which I always think does great work.
Yes, and what made this even more special was that the two actors involved were Reed Birney and his son Ephraim Birney, who played the young man. And we should say it was directed by Ron Lego Marcino. And I do want to say that John Lee Beatty's scenic design was amazing, because he had this like hospital room, and then he had Penn Station with the girders above, and turned it into Coney Island at one point with lights. I normally do not like epistolatory kind of plays where they just talk the story at you, but this was such an incredible story, and it kept your interest, and you were like the patient, where your imagination created this incredible world that I did not fall asleep. And this was after working the election for 17 hours and having no sleep at all. And I did not fall asleep. And you know me, I fall asleep very easily at these things. But no, it was just riveting and gripping. And also, I'm sad to report, this is Reed Birney's theater swan song. He wanted his last play in the theater to be with his son. And apparently his daughter is going to be in Sidney Burstein's window at BAM. And he's still going to do streaming and TV and film and everything. But No more theater, which is a loss for theater, but a gain for the streaming network. But this is really, truly special. It's just so moving. And bring tissues and bring an extra mask because your mask is going to get really soggy at the end. So this gets a major, major happy face from me.
A major happy face for me too. And I hope Reed Birney changes his mind and gives New York some more great performances.
The Public Theater is doing Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun, which is about an African-American family squished together in a tiny apartment in Chicago in the 50s, where things are about to change for them when Lena Younger's late husband's life insurance policy for $10,000 comes through. And in 1950s, this was an awful lot of money. And now Lena wants to get a house with that money. Her son Willie wants to open a liquor store with his friends, and Benitha, her daughter, wants it for her education to become a doctor. Will this money make dreams come true or bring nothing but heartache? This was directed by Robert O'Hara. And once again, the director felt the need to put his own spin on things. So he tacks on this ending at the end that comes, he doesn't change a word. It's just an image, but it changes the whole tone of the piece. And I'm like, oh, really? Did you have to do that? It was so good up till then. You have Tanya Pinkins as the matriarch of the family. And you have this wonderful cast with Francois Baptiste as the son, and just all these wonderful actors. And again, it's all about money and how someone without money, you finally get money, and how is it gonna change you, and what you could do with that. Because all of a sudden, it's like a starving person who's confronted with a feast. It's almost overwhelming, and you can't, and it just almost. Anyway, it's a good play. It's still a good play. And up until the final scene, I loved this. So again, happy face minus. I'm always going to give a minus to the director.
In Edward Albee's A Delicate Balance, 60th patrician couple Agnes and Tobias are not especially happy. Agnes wonders if and when she may go mad. She's tightly controlled and very controlling, so it doesn't seem to be an immediate problem. Living with the couple is Agnes's wilder alcoholic sister, Claire. The sisters seem to be constantly sparring with each other. Tobias and Agnes's best friends of 40 years, Harry and Edna, soon arrive. They have left their house because of some mysterious fear, and they seem to want to encamp themselves with Agnes and Tobias and become ensconced in the daughter's former room, and won't leave. The daughter, however, Julia, comes back bouncing away from her fourth marriage, which doesn't seem to be working out. She's enraged. She wants her room back. Which is more important, friendship, especially of such a long established kind, or family relations? Can we actually help our friends who are plagued by fear, or will we become contaminated with their fear? There's some interesting issues here, but it's an extremely long play, and it just never really involved me. I was really bored, especially by this production of it. Last time, I guess I was more able to buy Rosemary Harris as this super patrician woman and Elaine Stritch as the wilder alcoholic sister. Although I love the actresses playing it, especially Mia Kadekbach, who played Agnes, she just never seemed to fit with that role for me. I think she's maybe too earthy and too down to earth to have these concerns about perhaps going mad. Also, she really wanted her husband, who's somewhat wishy-washy and actually more believable as an upper crust type, to make the decision of who to expel, the daughter or the friends. And she was not going to do anything until he made that decision. Then she would manage it. I like the set. I like the sort of glasses underneath it that suggested all the drinking that was happening. But I just was really bored throughout the whole thing. And it's 3 hours of boredom is kind of tough. So I gave this a mixed face minus.
Yeah, I was like surprised because individually, I love every single one of these cast members. I have seen them in other things and just love them to pieces. But here, I don't know what it was, direction by Jack Cummings III or what, but they were just shouting. I felt like Bina, why are you shouting and flopping on the ground in these ugly, boring dresses that are so shapeless? And I was very disappointed. So I'm going to give it a mixed face also, which is shocking because I love the transport group and I'm so glad they're back and I will continue to love them. So it's like, this was a clunker, but I will love everything else they do in the future. Gogol's Diary of a Madman shows how a soul-crushing job with no respect can wear on a person's psyche. Priscian hates his job, feels it's beneath him, and has no regard for his fellow workers. He feels underappreciated and undervalued. A glimmer of hope appears in his drab life when he encounters the boss's daughter. In his fevered imaginings of rectifying his situation, he comes to the conclusion that he is the king of Spain. To see Ilya Vola go from groveling civil servant to a kingly personage was a breathtaking transformation as his very presence took over the tiny space. I was quite moved at the end by this poor delusional doomed man. It also brought to mind Death of a Salesman, as I had just seen that recently. A hardworking man who doesn't get his due and what it drives him to do. Happy face.
Vatican Falls by Frank J. Avila is playing at the Tank on West 36th Street until November 20th. And it's a very challenging subject dealing with child abuse by a Catholic priest. In this case, it focuses on two brothers, now adults, but they were both abused by a Catholic priest. And the two performances by these two actors certainly lift the play up. Peter, the younger brother, is played by James Gracia, who is a 2022 graduate from the Tisch School of the Arts. This is his first New York stage appearance, and he is not yet a member of Actors Equity. So hopefully we have a lot of good things to look forward to from this actor if he gets that more lucky breaks, because he was really very good. The older brother, Ricardo, is played by Ace Young. He was on American Idol in 2006 and finished in 7th place. And since then has gone on to star in the 2009 Hair revival that won Best Revival of a Musical. It's the Diane Paulus production where he took over for the role of Berger from Will Swenson when the original Broadway cast went to London. So he's been best known for singing and doing this light comedy. And here he's thrown into a play in a very deep, strong, dramatic part. And he handles it really well. I was impressed because knowing him as a singer and doing these light parts, he had to do this a very emotional part and handles it beautifully. And I'm going to give this a happy face.
Playwrights Raisin is doing Catch as Catch Can by Mia Chiang, directed by Daniel Alkin. I saw a previous incarnation of this with, but now it's being done with an Asian cast. And it's confusing in parts because the mothers, the actors play the mothers and their children. So you don't know, so sometimes they're female, sometimes they're male, they switch off. Okay, so you have Roberta, who's Irish, and Teresa, who's Italian, and they're best friends, and their children are all interconnected together. So the daughter Daniela likes Tim, and Tim is apparently engaged to some Korean woman that the mom's not too thrilled about. and Robbie is in love with some Korean woman and runs after her to Korea all the time. So it's parents, worried about their children, the children annoyed with their parents. It's the usual family drama. But then mental illness creeps in with Tim, and it kind of throws a monkey wrench into the plot and changes it into something totally different. But the actors are really, really good about going from male to female, changing characters until the end, when it just goes so quickly, you end up getting confused. You're very clear in the beginning, it gets confusing at the end. So I'm giving this a happy face minus, because the actors are wonderful. Cindy Chung, John Norman Schneider, Rob Yang, and it's, an interesting family drama. Well, they're doing a new version of 1776 with music and lyrics by Sherman Edwards and a book by Peter Stone, based on a concept by Sherman Edwards. And it's directed by and choreographed by Jeffrey L. Page, and it's directed by Diane Paulus. And it's an all-female cast. So that didn't bother me so much. It's like, okay, it's like men play women all the time. Why can't women play men? So I let that go. And my only nitpicking thing about it was, they had earrings on, and that bothered me. But it's a story about the Congress trying to pass the Declaration of Independence to try to get away from England. And, we haven't really gone to war. I mean, George Washington is fighting the British, and with very low funds, money, morale, and still going at it, while these Congress and political people are arguing like, well, no, we're still subjects of the king. We don't want to get the king mad. And John Adams is like, and Ben Franklin and Tom Jefferson, like, we have to get it through, but everyone hates John Adams. So he gets Lee from Virginia to try to get the South, because the South is their own bloc. Everyone has their own political agendas. And even when Thomas Jefferson finally gets the Declaration written, it's all like, cross this out, cross that out, add this, add that. So, and this is a very diverse cast. They've got American Indian, Native Indians in it. It's got, women of color in it, and redheads in it, and pregnant women in it. So it's very diverse. I mean, I love the score, but I mean, again, what's with the bloody directorial choices? It's like, my favorite number is Mama Look Sharp and Molasses to Run to Slaves, which normally is one person singing it in a spotlight. And it's just chilling because it's just that one person. You don't have the whole chorus coming in. You don't have projections. You don't have all this distracting nonsense. And if you're going to change Mama Look Sharp and have the mom kind of wandering around but not doing anything, have her sing the final thing. I'll look for you, my Billy, my eyes that cannot see. If the mom sang it, that would be moving. But no, it just made no sense. And this whole, she ruined it. Diane Paulus, who again, a director I like, ruined it. Go for it, Bina. I think we're in agreement on this one.
The thing is just like you just said, that men play women, and everyone, why cannot women play men? But if you think about it, China, Japan, Shakespeare times, all these times, men always played the women's parts, right? Okay. But they always looked like women, and they always behaved like women, and they always talk like women. Okay. Here, women playing men are very confused. At times, they don't remember that they're playing men. They seem like they are women. They come across as women, but you are playing a man, okay? And then they have all the makeup, and they have all the jewelry, and they have all the mannerism of women. Even that we have to suspend our belief. And then Thomas Jefferson, every time I looked at Thomas Jefferson and I said, oh, Thomas Jefferson is pregnant.
He did give birth to democracy.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, really, right. That's why democracy is so scattered. It is democracy is so, right now, it is so like midterm election is coming in. I hope democracy preserves. But I could not get rid of that. Every time I saw him, I said, oh, how come Jefferson is pregnant? Okay. So the thing is this. I wish, and I thought about it at that very moment, sitting there, I wish lots of men could get pregnant so they will have difficulty getting abortion, So they will know how important this issue is for women to have abortion when they want it or when they need it. Men have never become pregnant, so they know nothing about that. But Jefferson, who brought democracy to us, was pregnant. I thought it was a very bad casting. Someone else could play the cello or the violin she was playing and all that stuff. The rest, I have never seen this play. I go to these historical plays to learn. I did learn few things. I learned how much bickering went through with this independence, July the 4th kind of thing. Shouting. But some characters were shouting like I saw 4 shouting plays. I have a headache up till now. John Adams shouting.
But that's his character. I mean, you look, their characters are to shout. That's what that's real. That's true. I mean, because I've seen a lot of versions of 76,
nobody writes,
including the original with William Daniels. I love this show. So you can't criticize, a character for being the character he's supposed to be.
I can. Let me tell you what. The playwright never says in any directions. You can look at many scripts, say, oh, shout.
No, in this case, yes. That's why John Adams is obnoxious and disliked, because he's always shouting at everyone. That's why nobody listens to him, because he's always shouting. He's supposed to shout.
Oh, he's supposed to shout.
Yes.
So, okay, well, he was not, maybe that's he must not be the very effective politician if you constantly shout.
Well, he did get to be president.
Yeah, well, the thing, I did learn something about the Declaration of Independence. So I give a mixed.
And I'm giving it a happy face minus. Well, Jill Sobel has brought a wonderful show to Wild Project called Fuck 7th Grade. And she's joined by Nina Camps and Kristen Ellis Henderson, both from Antigone Rising and Julie Wolfe. And she's written music, lyrics, and concept, and it's a rock concert musical by Sobel with a book by Liza Birkenmeyer, and it's directed by Obie Award-winning Lisa Peterson. And it's what we all go through in 7th grade, middle school. It's basically a coming out, coming of age, and coming into your own story, where she's got, and apparently she's a very well-known pop star. She's written something called Pop Supermodel and something called I Kissed a Girl before Katy Perry even did it. She was very famous for this song, and she's, not that many openly lesbian singers out there. So she's got quite a following. And it's a story we can all relate to, because I had a hideous time in 7th grade. They messed me up for life. And that's just it. You get messed up for life at 7th grade. And it shows how she basically said, fuck 7th grade. Fuck all of you. Look at what I've done. Look at what I've become. I'm where I mean to be, I'm who I mean to be, and I'm with the people I mean to be, and I am living my best life. So even though your middle school can screw you up, you can come above it all. And I'm giving this a major happy face. It was so good. I went to see Sesame Street the musical, and I felt very odd being there without a child. Oh my gosh. This shows you how good this show is for kids. There was this girl in front of me, this little girl, maybe 2 or 3 years old, crying and shrieking and tantruming and just being absolutely horrible. It's like you just think, take this child out already. But the minute the show started, she totally shut up. Was completely into the show, was so excited, like, and this little baby, like 3 months old, was so excited. She was like going like this the entire time. It was so cute. I mean, the little kids were just completely engaged. It's all your favorite Sesame Street characters. You have Elmo and Rosalita and Abby and Oscar the Grouch, who is the critic and writes for the New York Times and wanted his show to be terrible because he doesn't like good shows. And that cracked me up, of course. And you have Bird constantly looking for Ernie, and you have Grover and Cookie Monster and Count And they're all doing your favorite Sesame songs that you know. C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. And rubber ducky, you're the one. And they teach you how to count, and they have a special guest star. It's just cute and adorable. And it did go on a bit long because towards the end the kids did get a bit restless. But if you got a kid, a grandkid, or you just love Sesame Street like me and want to go, just go. So this gets my happy face.
Good morning. Eva's out doing mysterious things today. I'm not exactly sure what. So it's up to me to bring you up to date on future events. Our next show will be on December 3rd, where we'll be reviewing Downstate, which is running on the main stage at Playwrights Horizons through December 11th. Following our shows that are closing before we'll see you again, you can find reviews of all of these on our website at facebook.com/highdramas. Closing on November 19th will be Candida, which is running at Theater 2 on Theater Row, 410 West 42nd Street. That is being produced by the Ginghold Group. On November 20th at 7 p.m., Tom Judson will appear with Charles Bush at Pangea. And Charles is a friend of our show, and we always are very happy to see him on stage. So I'm sure this will be an excellent performance, all in all. That's at 178 2nd Avenue, Pangea. So closing on November 20th then is Montag at the Soho Rep, 46 Walker Street. Then we have Hedda Gabler being produced by Bedlam at the Irondale Center in Brooklyn, 85 South Oxford Street. And don't hesitate to go to this just because it's in Brooklyn. They are an excellent company. I've been there many times, and it's very easy to get to on the C train. We have Walking with Ghosts at Music Box Theater, 239 West 45th Street. That will be closing as well. And then we have some that are slightly later. We'll be closing on November 27th. Play for Plague Years at the Public Theater, 425 Lafayette Street. I would guess that now that winter is here, they're glad to get out of the park and back into their own building. Then Only Gold at the MCC Theater, 511 West 52nd Street. Then My Broken Language, Signature Theater Company, the Pershing Square Signature Center at 480 West 42nd Street in New York. Then we have Where the Mountain Meets the Sea at the MTC Theater, 131 West 55th Street. And that will also be closing on the 27th. So we've got good things going and lots of things to see, lots of things to do. So get out there and see some theater. Off-Broadway is a wonderful, wonderful bargain for anyone. And there's so many fine things playing that sometimes it just beggars description. Really, really, there's so many things happening. So we'll see you again next month. So thank you for joining us today. It's always wonderful to see you, and we will see you in December. Thanks. Take care.